Hello and welcome to the Route 1 show, the podcast bringing you all the latest football action from West Yorkshire and beyond. I'm Stephen Brown, and with me in the studio is Tim, the Fact Sheet Feather. Hello, Tim.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How was your week been, sir?
It's been a pretty good week.
Football-wise?
Fantastic week.
It has, actually.
4 points for Bradford City, I'll take that.
That's good.
So it's
relegation worries over?
Just about. I think maybe one or two, maybe another win or so, and we're over that 50-point mark, and we can start relaxing a little bit. But I think it's been a turbulent season for City, just on the pitch wise. Yes. There's not been nothing, no dramas off the pitch. It's just all been on the pitch, all these injuries, and I think it's just hurt us a little bit. Absolutely.
Well, we'll be hearing from former Bantams player Lee Bullock. I will also be hearing from John Stead as well. He's been chatting to our very own Pete Chapman, so we'll hear from them later. Now, it was a big week in Champions League football, Tim, and I'd like to throw this discussion out there, and I'd love to, see what people think on the Twitter sphere as well, because I wrote a tweet when Paris Saint-Germain scored their first goal against Chelsea. I went, get in, please. Yes, get in, because I just hate Chelsea. And then you tweeted me going, what are you doing? You should be supporting all English teams in Europe.
You should.
Why?
Because I
friggin' hate Chelsea. I don't hate PSG.
If there's one thing I hate more than Chelsea, it's the French, right?
Those are the views of Tim Feather. They do not represent the Route 1 show.
I just think that when it comes to Europe, we should get behind the English teams, no matter who they are. Admittedly, if there's two English teams in a competition, if it's Man U Chelsea, like they were in the Moscow final, yes, pick one.
Yeah. But they're barely English. They barely have any English players, these English teams, anyway.
They've still got a fairly English spine in Chelsea, haven't they? But no, I really want an English team. I prefer to see.
Do well.
Yeah, I loved the year that Chelsea won it. I mean, fantastic. And when Manchester United won it, and I was when Manchester United played Barcelona at Wembley, and when Barcelona won, I was in a bar and I was stood on this balcony because we were in the upstairs, and then they had this big open space, and there was a guy down at the bottom and was shouting for Barcelona. And I've knocked a pint glass off me. You know, like a train spotting that kind of. No. I think you've got to support the English clubs.
One of my favourite YouTube videos ever is just the 10-minute highlights of Barcelona wiping the floor with Manchester United at Wembley. I could watch that every day.
I don't think it helps that I don't like Barcelona. I really don't like Barcelona.
You don't like Barcelona? You don't like Guardiola either, do you?
I don't like Guardiola, no. Bayern Munich last year, right, they were a fantastic side.
Yeah, they were.
Where's all this diving come from? This diving and rolling around.
Busquets,
I'll tell you why. Pep. He is the one who has this diving ability. And what annoys me is players like Robben and Ribéry and Mandzukic and Schweinsteiger. They are all fantastic players.
Yeah, true. I think he's cracking under the pressure a bit. Did you see Guardiola in the press conference when he had a go at one of the journalists?
I have not seen that, no.
Yeah, it's great. It's like the journalist asks him something. Guardiola starts replying, and then he must notice that the journalist looks away. Something goes, "Look at me, look at me." It's all right. It's not quite as menacing as that, but yeah.
Look at Pep.
Yeah, look away, Pep. How dare you strike him down? But I actually, though, having said I don't support English teams in Europe, I was glad to see Manchester United do as well as they did, because it didn't really fit the narrative, and I thought they did fantastically well, Manchester. This thing of Bayern dominated possession and Man United were so defensive. What did they expect Manchester United to do? To go out and play free-flowing football and get hammered? I don't understand what people's expectations were of Man United in that game.
I don't understand what the expectations were. And can I just say, I think the tactics that David Moyes plays at Manchester United, they don't work at home against Newcastle or West Brom. They work when you've got Champions League
9
sides
men in your own box.
Exactly, they work. And really, Man U should have won that game. I mean,
they should have
won. You look at Welbeck, everyone was screaming,
what's he doing?
I'm sure even you wanted that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, as it went, I could see that Man United had that grit between the teeth. It was like almost Chelsea when they went to Barcelona, they won that game. It was a little bit like that, and you couldn't help but think, come on, Phil Jones sliding all over the place with his ridiculous facial expressions. It's like, yes, that's good to see. He's getting stuck in. And I thought, really, it would have been great if they could have hung on to the 1-0.
Save this on the record, right?
Yeah.
I said on my Facebook last night,
that's true.
Chelsea will lose this game 3-1, but they will get that away goal, and at Stamford Bridge they will win 2-0, and they will go through. I can see that happening. I think Chelsea will still go through.
Yeah. Do you think 2-0? Yeah, I can
2-0.
easily see that. Easily. So elsewhere in the footballing world then, Tim, bit of good news for fans of the Bradford City women's football team, because they beat Leeds United, didn't they, in the West County?
They did on Tuesday
West
night,
Riding County Cup final, 3-1. So
congratulations to them.
Well done. Quite close in the league, though, aren't they, those two? So it's going to be a bit of a disappointment for Leeds there, isn't it?
It is going to be a disappointment for them on that front.
Well done, the Bantams. Well done, the Bantams.
It is.
And something else that
it's
caught your eye
one of
this
them
week,
feel-good stories, because Ukraine. It's been in other news recently for that.
I like this. This is a more positive story coming out of.
We're being
Ukraine
serious for now. Dnipro player, he saved a Dynamo Kiev Oleg Gusev's life. Wow. According to doctors, when the Gusev collided with a keeper, and Yaba Kankava of Dnipro, he noticed that he was swallowing his tongue, and he jumped in and he stopped him, and doctors believe he saved his life. So feel good in football.
The footage is out there, isn't it, on Guardian?
It is, and we will stick it on our own website as
yes, well. We will steal that. Yeah, definitely. Because it's incredible, that, isn't it? Absolutely marvellous story. So coming up on the show today, well, we've got an interview with former Bantams player Lee Bullock. Plus, we're going to have all our regular updates from our sides in the region here, including Leeds United, Huddersfield Town, Bradford City, Halifax Town, Guiseley and Bradford Park Avenue. Plus, we'll preview all of this weekend's football fixtures. Well, we're going to start things off on the show by chatting to former Bradford City player Lee Bullock, who joins us on the line now. Hi, Lee.
Good evening, you all right?
I'm good. Thanks very much for joining us. So, Lee, we'll come to your time with the Bantams shortly, but what do you make of how they're doing at the moment? They've struggled a bit this season. What do you make of how they're progressing under Phil Parkinson?
I think that the progress from when I was there myself has been basically what the club needed, what it was crying out for, and the start the end of this season got everyone's hopes and expectations up, but realistically, I think you can't really grumble. All right, last few weeks it's looked a bit dodgy, but he's proved when he needs to get results, he goes out and gets them. And the last two games will hopefully see him more than safe and enjoy the end of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, you're a popular player there yourself, so I assume you still follow the fortunes of them then?
Oh, of course I do, yeah. I've always checked the Borough score first, and then I'll probably check the Bradford score second. Normally, that'll be the way I go. And great to see when they're winning. And there's not many lads left, but puts a smile on my face when I see James Anson scored or Johnny McLaughlin's played well, something like that. Lads that he came through with and see him progress. Yeah,
absolutely. And you played under Parkinson. How did you find playing under him?
Unfortunately, he was cut a bit short by injuries and got released. I thought he was a great bloke. He was really hard working. He told you how it was. If you were poor, he told you. He let you know after a match on a Monday through the week. But he was also fair and decent at the same time. And I would have enjoyed and liked to play longer, but it didn't happen. But I wasn't surprised when Blackpool came calling last season, and it was good for the club that he stayed. And I think given time, he'll take them on again.
Lee, I was wondering, how did you feel when you found out your contract wasn't going to get renewed? Because it was in the summer of 2012, really, when a lot of what I would consider key players left, like Ramsden left, Flynn left, and you were part of that group. What was your overriding emotion of that?
At the time, obviously, I was gutted. But when you look back, I'd been part of a group that had struggled over the last year or two, so it needed the clear out, and the players he brought in shot him out of the league and got into the League Cup as well. So obviously I would have loved to have been part of the squad that done it, but when you've been in football a while, you realise that things need freshening up and changes come around, and it doesn't matter about individuals. The club went on and done well. Like I said, I'd have loved to have been part of it, just to see the city react to the promotion and the cup final, but fortunately I wasn't.
Yeah, but let's remember you were part of the squad that, under McCall, we finished 2 points off the playoffs.
Yeah, that would have been unbelievable. I think for Stuart to get the club up, we were so close that season, and for so long we thought we were going to do it, and we were confident, and then we probably blew it with about 10 games to go. And then, as stupid as football is, we went and won the last 2 games of the season. But that was, if that had gone there, that would, especially for Stuart and Jakes, 2 people you couldn't find more Bradford City in the blood. That would have been unbelievable, but unfortunately it's just one of them what ifs, but it never happened.
It is, and I'm going to bring the conversation into a different one now. Bradford City have got Crawley at home in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we know, don't we?
You were on the pitch that night. I mean, a lot of things have changed between the two sides, and do you think when it comes round to the game, all hatchets will be buried?
Yeah, I think that it's all forgotten. Obviously, it's good for the media, it's good for the fans, but as players, there's probably not many of them left. There's definitely, maybe there's a Dava, Johnny Mack, Hanson.
Yeah.
Obviously the management of Bradford, but Crawley are all gone. They're all different, probably decent people now.
Gone to Rotherham.
Yeah, I remember that night. That was crazy. I stayed, myself and Ram was in the hotel in Bradford, and after it happened, I was the PFA rep. My phone was going crazy. PFA and what on earth's happened? The next day at the training ground, I think Phil Parkinson was thinking, what on earth just happened there? He was down. They were league round about points deductions and all sorts, but obviously it looked bad, but it was just emotion. Two highly charged teams going for it, and it boiled over terribly wrong, but like I say, it's gone now. It probably moves on to Rotherham more, so that scenario, the Crawley's forgotten. It's Rotherham the one now.
What was it like playing under McCall? I mean, he was a legend at the club, and he signed on loan, didn't he, initially, before he made the deal permanent. What kind of man was he to play under?
I probably enjoyed some of my best times in the later part of his career playing for him, because he was just such a good bloke, and the fact what he'd done in the game and the way his lads, he was the fun, if you like. Jakes was the serious one, and I'd like to be able to play for him again now. I speak to Rammers, I'm still good mates with Rammers. He tells me how good he is and how he's probably learned from his early spell at Bradford. But I think if he was to ever come back, he would be such a good manager as well. The way he gets the lads going was great, and it probably just hurt him so much being so Bradford through and through when we lost. And maybe he's at Motherwell now. He thinks it's not the end of the world if they get beat. There's always the next match. But sometimes it felt like at Bradford one night away at Bury, Gig Lane, we probably had 2,000 fans behind the goal to beat us, and it was like the end of the world for him. In fact, he threw us all out the dressing room after the match.
Really?
Before he ripped one of our Reds off, I think is the words suitable for radio were. That's how much it hurt him.
Yeah. James Robertshaw on Twitter, he asked Lee, what was your best memory while playing for Bradford City?
Probably that obviously I got the chance to come on loan, and I didn't. Obviously, I knew it was a big club and they were struggling away in League Two, but that first game I turned up at Accrington, and I just remember three sides of the ground were full of Bradford fans, and obviously Accrington a small support, but I just thought, wow, this is a club to be at. And then there's a lot of good times, there's some bad times, but it was a privilege to turn out for that club any week, especially as a low league player. I said before, to play for Bradford is probably the biggest club you could play for in that league, so it was, and to captain them was, like I say, a privilege.
You're at Hartlepool now, you're youth coaching there. What's that experience like, Lee?
I love it. I'm under 16s coach. We've just had 10 lads taken on as youth team scholars, so that's a great turnout. They've only been beat twice this season, and funnily enough, our toughest game is meant to be against Bradford, but both times, for various reasons, the games have been called off, so I've missed the trip back to Appley Bridge. But no, it's something
in the future.
That's something I'm really into, and I'd like it to progress more with Hartlepool, but I'll see what happens elsewhere.
Management, is that a possibility in the future?
I don't know about that. You see what these managers go through, like Stuart McCall. It drives them insane, and they have to live and breathe 24/7. Obviously, the rewards are massive, but
it's intense, isn't it?
Lads are under so much pressure, it's untrue.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I think I could be the good cop role as the assistant who everyone likes, rather than the manager who gets hammered all the time.
Lee, we do have to ask you, actually, because one of the teams we cover on the podcast here is Bradford Park Avenue, and one of their players, Jordan Deasy, has been in and around Hartlepool. I don't suppose you know anything about what's going on with him, if he's going to be signed up or not, or if you've just seen him about at all.
I think they signed a right back, didn't they, from Bradford Park Avenue as well, who's gone and had a great season, and he's out injured at the minute, and the DC's been played a few reserve matches, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
What I've read, I obviously have no idea, but what I've read in the local press, are real impressed and interested in him, so potentially could be something for the summer.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
I think Colin Cooper could well go for it. He likes his younger, hungry players. So fingers crossed for like it's a good club that he gets his chance in the league.
Absolutely. Lee, absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thanks very much for joining us.
And yourself, anytime.
Take care. Thanks a lot, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Leeds United continue to struggle on and off the pitch, but things could be about to change. On the line to discuss this with us is our Leeds United correspondent, it's Jennifer Berry. Hi, Jen.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us, Jen. So things may be about to change, we think.
Yeah, some positive news, I suppose, over the last couple of days. It looks like, Cellino and Together Leeds are in talks that seem to have progressed quite far, with a view to sort of both taking control of the club, hopefully. Which is possibly dependent on Cellino's appeal, but just seen a sort of an interview with Farnan, and he says actually that it's pretty much they'll be going forward together regardless of that. So positive news off the pitch at least. Yeah,
absolutely. On the pitch, meanwhile, lost against Charlton wasn't a great performance. Again, what did you make of it?
Yeah, it was. It just didn't feel like anybody was really up for it, really. You know, the attendance dipped quite a lot. The fans sort of were a bit sort of apathetic, I suppose, and it just didn't feel like we were going to win, you know, even in, you know, sort of a last-minute penalty. Just weren't convinced that McCormack was going to score, unfortunately. It's not going for us at all.
No, absolutely not. McDermott, a lot of pressure on him. Some people calling for him to resign. Is that fair, or you know, is it the situation more than anything else?
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, it's understandable that people are sort of calling for him. I mean, the results just they haven't been there. But you know, you look at the position that he's in, and it is pretty much untenable. You know, he doesn't know what's happening from week to week, and you know, from his point of view, he's literally the only figurehead of the club that's actually coming out and talking to people because he has to. You know, nobody else is behind him, sort of supporting him, and he's doing a lot. You know, it seems like he's doing a lot on his own, and I think, you know, you've got to put something on the players as well. That they don't seem to be stepping up to it. You know, we know these players are better because we've been higher in the league than this. We've been sixth in the league, and you've got to question as well their mentality. You know, where maybe they're not, you know, keen on McDermott anymore, but you know they're pulling on the shirt. They need to be playing, and I think he is in an increasingly difficult situation. And you know, we don't know whether he's going to remain manager, whoever takes over, but. You know, you've got to feel for him. You know, you've got to feel for him. The results haven't been there, yes, but there are mitigating circumstances. But it depends who's going to draw a line, I suppose.
Like you mentioned there, Jen, Leeds were sixth at one point, and then they've just tumbled down. Really, I mean, I was quite shocked this week that Sheffield Wednesday, who were struggling in the relegation zone, have now moved above Leeds and Huddersfield for that fact as well. What do you put that down to? Do you put that down to solely the off-the-field activities, or do you put it down to just a run of form?
A bit of both, really. I mean, it does sort of feel like a lot of things just haven't really gone for us on the pitch. Not so much, you know, sort of bad decisions and probably luck, really, but it just doesn't feel like the players are putting in the same sort of effort. And I think the things that have been happening off the field, I mean, it's easy to say that, you know, once they go over the white line, they pull on the shirts, they do the job, but it's impossible for these sort of factors not to have any sort of impact. I mean, you can hear it filtering through from the crowd as well. It's just too much, probably, just to say it was all down to the players. Not to say that the players aren't completely blameless for it, but it just feels like there's not been anything really concrete to build on as well. So from one game to the other, it just sort of, it's almost just like, just got to go and do it, and there doesn't seem to be any fight with it. I think, you know, the season is pretty much dead now. Probably won't get relegated, hopefully not, but we're not going anywhere in terms of the playoffs, so it doesn't really feel like there's much to aim at for the players. I mean, realistically, they're playing for their jobs in the summer, and it just doesn't feel like they're really that bothered, really.
In hindsight, is it possibly a careful what you wish for kind of thing? Because I remember sitting here in December and we were all talking about Leeds and the possibility of this takeover and how good it could be, and it's just turned really sour. And is it a careful what you wish for story, do you think?
I think think so, but I think you have to go back. I mean, we said this, when Bates left, and I think, there were sort of certain people that were always cautious about what GFH could do, and I remember saying way back then that the plan was always that they were, as an investment bank, they were just looking to make a quick buck and just flippers, and that does seem to have sort of come to pass, unfortunately. But the way that Bates sort of ran the club, he eroded everything within the club, and it came down to that the whole foundation of the club was being ripped out, and that there was nothing, that there is barely anything left. And I think it is being massively unfortunate that GFH have not improved anything on that perspective. They've hired a couple of PR guys to do a bit of cheap work for them, and that sort of worked for a few months, and now they've sort of been exposed. But I don't know. I mean, I suppose from my point of view, everything's happened to a reason, and hopefully, if this sort of partnership with Cellino and Together Leeds can go through, I think that genuinely will be in the best interests of the club. I mean, you can positively look at the fact that, from Together Leeds' point of view, they have experts in pretty much every sort of division of running a club. And then from Cellino's point of view, again, he's got that experience. What you make of that specifically is another question. But and he's got the money as well. And despite the sort of the type of character that he is, he does genuinely seem to want something good for the club. He's been messed about as much as everybody else, really. So I think it's in everybody's sort of best interest for them to take the club forward now. Absolutely.
Wigan up next, Jen. How do you see that one going?
To be honest, with the run of form that we've been having, I just can't see us winning. The last couple of games, we sort of haven't really felt in it, and you're never sort of really convinced about what we can get from a game, really. We've got a lot of fans, I think 3,250 odd to Wigan and about 2,000 to Watford as well. It's crazy, really, but the fans will always be there. We'll support the team, but unfortunately, I can't say when I hope I'm wrong. But
no. So we do have to make a quick mention of the Cellino interview, the infamous Cellino interview from the weekend. Astonishing, wasn't it, Jen?
It was. It was just you had to sort of look and laugh at it. I mean,
you had to.
I think if you don't laugh at it, you cry at it, because
it really helped the Sunday blues. I thought going to work the next day, I thought that really cheered me up.
I did. I just listened to it really late at night, and then I didn't get to sleep, and was really grouchy at work the next day. No, I mean, it's just you can see the type of guy that he is, but you wonder how that sort of will come into play if he were to run the club. But it just seemed like it was just a big sideshow, and you hate it because this is Leeds, and this is what we're reduced to. The club's a laughing stock at times, and I just think it was just one of those, just in a long line. You were listening to it and thinking, I can't believe this is happening, really. But
absolutely.
Liven things up anyway.
Yes, exactly. The very understanding Jennifer Berry. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go. So that's Jennifer Berry there on Leeds United. I think she's right. Can't see anything against Wigan. Can you, Tim?
Can surprise them. You could get something. Leicester struggled there, though, this week. And they got a 2-2 draw.
Yeah. We'll see.
It'll be tough.
We'll see.
Follow us on Twitter @The Route One Show. Visit our Tumblr, tumblr.com/The Route One Show, or email us, therouteoneshow@gmail.com.
We're looking at Huddersfield Town now, and joining us on the line is the Huddersfield Examiner's Doug Thompson. Hi, Doug.
Hi, how are you doing?
Thanks very much for joining us.
No problem.
So, a 1-1 draw against Reading. Standout moment, fantastic goal by Naki Wells.
Yeah, absolutely. He had another really good game. Naki Wells also hit the bar quite soon afterwards, and got Town off to a great start in that game, but unfortunately Reading came back and equalised, so just took the edge off it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of chances as well Huddersfield had in that game to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, we seem to have been saying this for weeks, don't we? They're creating plenty of chances, not really scoring enough of them. I thought the positive from the Reading game for me was that the defensive resolve was a lot better. They were a lot more disciplined and a lot more organised defensively, and were only beaten by the penalty, which is a pretty controversial one at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Run of 6 games without a win, Doug. Is the season just fading out now, do you think?
Well, hopefully not. There's plenty to play for. The manager keeps talking about contracts coming up and people that are coming out of contract the year after. Town have made a habit of sort of trying to get contracts sorted out early on if they want to renew them. With a year and a bit to go. So that would take in the guys who come out of contract in 2015. There's quite a few of them. Danny Ward's one of the ones who comes out of contract this summer. So there's plenty to think about really. And a lot of sort of maybe evolution of the squad more than revolution. Matt Robbins has talked about bringing maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 people in, but I don't think it'll be a wholesale change. But tweaking and people will go as well. So quite a lot to look at over the last few games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said about adding a few more players in over the summer, Doug. Do you think Mark Robbins will be attempting a top 10 to a playoff place finish? And also adding on to that, do you see any Huddersfield players in danger of actually probably someone trying to snoop around Huddersfield for a couple of players?
Well, I mean, there was obviously a lot of talk about James Vaughan at one time. It's the same old problem, really, with James Vaughan. Fitness has always been an issue with him, and this season has been no different. You really want to see a full season out of him at some point before I think anybody comes in and will pay sort of big money for him. But certain players, Adam Clayton certainly caught the eye over the second part of the season especially. There was talk about Ollie Norwood in the January transfer window.
Yeah, I think it was SPL or something like that, wasn't there?
Yeah, Celtic was supposed to be looking at him, although at one time they were linked with sort of virtually every other player. And Neil Lennon kept coming to games and inevitably, rumours started.
They were trying to sign you, Doug.
With a bit of luck, yeah. I think I'm slightly past it now, yeah. What a dream move that would be, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's always possible. You never know, but surprising things do happen. Not that it would be a surprise that certain town players would be targeted, but these things do occur, and sometimes an offer can be too good to turn down, as it was with Jordan Rhodes, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think they anticipate too much sort of development in that direction, but I'm sure any offer's worth listening to, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Bolton up next. Doug, how do you see that one going?
Yeah, a tough game. They sort of started off the season very sluggishly. They were having a really bad time. Town went over there in December and won 1-0. Pretty much unheard of for us to win at Bolton. And Dougie Freeman looked in real danger at that time. He looked really like he could be gone within a week or a couple of weeks of that game because everything was going so badly. But they've turned it around quite well. He's had a big rebuilding job over there. Ex-Premier League club not that long ago. Obviously, people on big salaries that he's had to sort of really shift out the door. People in on a more realistic budget. They've got financial fair play to think about in a big way because obviously they've made quite a large loss this season.
Yeah.
You'd imagine, they're obviously trying to address that and get the loss down, but there could still be problems. So they've come into a bit of form. I think they've won about 5 out of the last 8 games. So it'll be a tough task for Town, but I see this really as 2 home games coming up. We've got Ipswich on Tuesday, and a really good chance just to sort of cement Championship status and just get rid of any sort of lingering fear of relegation, really.
Absolutely. Doug, pleasure to speak to you as always. Thanks very much for joining us. Take care.
Cheers,
Thank you. Bye-bye. There we go. That's Doug Thompson there discussing everything Huddersfield Town against Bolton. Tim, what do you think there? I
think Huddersfield can get something. I'd say at least a point from that one for Huddersfield.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
I mean, Dougie Freeman's done a fantastic job at Bolton, but I can't see it. I can't see Bolton getting the best of Huddersfield there.
No, I agree. Now, after a horrible week losing 2-1 to Shrewsbury and losing 2-0 against Walsall, Bradford City have managed to pick up a 1-0 win against Leyton Orient through Aaron McLean and picked up a confidence-boosting 0-0 draw against Coventry. And striker John Stead admits that it was tough coming in and playing with little time to get to know the squad, but feels he's already settling in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a little bit strange. We're still getting to know, obviously, some of the players. Some of them I know from previous, but yeah, it can be difficult at times because you're kind of thrown in there and you find out about the whole move on Thursday and then a couple of hours training on Friday. But I thought we I thought I fitted in pretty well with obviously the game down at Leyton Orient. Me and Az worked well together, and I felt like I settled in a lot quicker than I was expecting to.
And of course, there's always been that rivalry between Bradford and Huddersfield. Anything like that cloud your mind at all in the game?
Of course not. No, I mean, obviously, everybody knows I'm a Huddersfield supporter. I've been since I was a child, But first and foremost, I want to play football. I'm a professional, and I've done that with every club. I've been at a lot of clubs, and every club I've been at, I know that I've been 100% professional to that club when I've played for them, and this would be no different. At the end of the day, it's a chance for me to come and play. It's a club that wanted me to come and play for them, and it's a massive bonus, and I want to help as much as I can.
First game for you at Valley Parade, and going to be at least 12,000 there. That's got to be great for playing at this level to get crowds like that.
Oh, it's fantastic. It shows what an unbelievable support there is for the club and the size of the club. I think that's similar crowds to what Huddersfield are be getting at home. So it's and they're in the Championship, so it's great that you get that support. Looking forward to playing in the game, playing at Valley Parade, and hopefully getting another 3 points, which will take us over the line, and we can concentrate on finishing the season on a high and not looking behind any further down the table.
Because that's the key thing with Bradford at the moment, is that there's a lot of games against teams around you in the table. So you get the 3 points, that gives you that bit of breathing space. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's at 9 points now. Obviously, I think it's just a progression and carry on what we've done the last 2 games. If we can get the 3 points on Saturday, 7 points from a week is fantastic return. And if we get that helps you carry on, and it gives you that momentum to finish the season strongly, which is obviously what we want to do.
Oldham, known to be a team that try and pack everyone behind the ball, so it's going to be reliant on you and Aaron and the wide players as well to get forward fast and try and put them under pressure. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I think we've got to approach the game the same way that we've approached the 2 away games. A real high tempo right from the kick-off, a little bit direct at times, and turning them and making the team defend. And I think as soon as we do that, the pockets will start opening, and then we can go and play our football. So I think it's a bit more of the same. Even though we're at home, it's going to be a real high tempo with a good strong crowd, a real backing behind us, and go and get the job done.
Of course, you personally played at the top level in this country. Do you think there's experience you can bring from that to help Bradford?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah, I mean, there is some more experience in the squad. There's a lot of young players as well. So any help I can give to those is obviously vital. I can remember when I was a young player and looking up when I went to Blackburn, and I've got Andy Cole and Dwight York. They're experienced players that you can learn from, and hopefully the young players, I can help them in the best way I can. But I think it's about being a character on the pitch, helping being a leader, and making sure we stick together. And for the last 2 games, as far as I've seen, a really, really strong sort of tight-knit group with a great amount of character and a real desire to go and get results, and that's what we've done, so hoping to continue.
And from what you've seen, Bradford are safe to be in League One next season?
100%, yeah, I've got no doubt in that whatsoever. I think it's more for me and the lads, it's looking above and seeing where we can finish.
OK, we just heard there from John Stead, who was speaking to Pete Chapman, and Pete joins us on the line now. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Stephen.
So it was a bad week for City, losing to Shrewsbury and then Walsall, but then a tremendous win against Leyton Orient.
Indeed, yeah, a magnificent performance, and by all accounts, one that they really absorbed the pressure and hit them on the break, really, with McLean's goal from a corner, and then soaked up even more pressure. So a very well sort of taken 3 points, and then the point at Coventry as well has put them where they're almost safe, not quite, but almost.
Yeah, we have. It seems like we've fallen a bit short of the mark, just like we're nearly there and just not quite got it just yet. But something which I found interesting for the Leyton Orient fixture was something which hasn't happened over the rest of the season, is our signings this season haven't made as much of an impact as they did last season. But Parkinson, he came out straight away and he complimented all the 5 loan players that played on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's a very important job that he's doing there, and that he's trying to deflect some of the attention away, because there have been, and I've heard it at Valley Parade, some moans about some of the players. I think some unfairly, because I think although McLean hasn't scored a lot of goals, he's been doing a lot in the build-up and holding the ball up well, and I think Reach and Bennett have really been improving. And we have to remember that Bennett hadn't played football for 4 months before he came to Bradford, so it's going to take a while to get that level of fitness back where he can play at the top of his game.
Yeah, well, against Shrewsbury, Bennett was the best player on the pitch, and to be perfectly honest, for a couple of games now, Bennett has really set that right winger light.
Yeah, I think he is a good player, and Bradford are starting to see the best of him, which is they need to do, because it's always been crucial to Bradford's game that there is wide players that can take people on and get the ball in the box.
Absolutely. Oldham up next, Pete. How do you see that one going?
It's going to be tough. Parkinson himself said today that they tend to like to get everyone back behind the ball. They play a very defensive formation, only one striker, and it's the only way Bradford are going to beat them is play like the away side, really.
Yeah.
Try and entice them forward, then hit them fast on the break, which means they will be playing quite direct, I think, or trying to get the ball out to Reach and Bennett, and then get it in the box towards McLean and Stead.
Oldham have done quite well on the road this season. At the moment they're on an unbeaten run away from home, drawing 3, which were against Leyton Orient, Crewe and Tranmere. So Bradford can possibly fall into that bracket of teams there.
I think so, yeah. It's going to be a very tough game. I don't necessarily think a point would be that bad, because Oldham are one of the teams around them, so if neither of them take points off each other, it suits them both in a way. Obviously a win would be better for Bradford, but it's the next 2 games coming up after that. It would be better for them to get 3 points, because Rotherham and then Peterborough are going to be very tough.
Oldham will probably be slightly more desperate for those 3 points, because I think they're slightly below Bradford, if I'm right.
Yeah, they are. They're just slightly below. I think 2 or 3 points below Bradford. It's going to be a tough game, like I said, but hopefully Bradford can at least get a point out of it, because they need to get the points they need, because they don't want to be going to Tranmere on the last day of the season with it being a make or break for both teams.
No, absolutely not. Pete, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Take care. Speak to you next week.
Okay,
bye-bye.
See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go, Pete Chapman there. Bradford City Oldham, how do you see that one going then?
I think it's going to be a very ugly game of football. I'm probably going to go for a draw, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one.
Click subscribe on iTunes and get the Route 1 show every week for free.
Now, as of recording this podcast, Halifax have been in action against Braintree, and we're going to cross over to Andrew Pinfield, our Halifax Town correspondent. Andrew, what was the final score?
It's Halifax Town 0, Braintree 0, so not really done us many favours, but it is a clean sheet and another point on the positive side. But we can't keep the running win going, I'm afraid. But
that's a shame. What kind of game was it?
Very scrappy. The chances were limited at both ends. It wasn't open like we thought it might be. Yeah. We probably had a couple of chances in the 90 minutes, and so did Braintree. So the scoreline was a fair result, but just disappointment that we couldn't keep the winning run going.
Oh, so how does it affect those playoffs ambitions, do you think?
Well, it just puts a bit more pressure on our next 3 away games. We've got Nuneaton, Barnet and Grimsby in the space of 10 days. So realistically, you would imagine we'd need 2 out of 3 away wins from them difficult fixtures, because they're in and amongst the playoff positions with us. So it's going to be a tough ask, but it still keeps the season going for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, Nuneaton next. How do you see that one going, Andrew?
Yeah, difficult game. We beat them away in the FA Cup, so we can go there with a bit of confidence. We drew with them at the Shea, so they've not beaten us this season. But really, if we'd have got the win tonight, we could have perhaps gone to Nuneaton and settled for a point, whereas the tables now might be reversed a bit, and I think we'll have to get the win there just to set us up for Barnet and Grimsby away.
But these clean sheets, Andrew, surely that'll make you positive going into the next 3 away games?
Well, it does. I mean, we've scored goals for fun all season. That's probably the only disappointing factor from tonight, is that Lee Gregory and the team as a whole haven't scored, because Neil Aspin says if we keep a clean sheet, we'll always score. I think that is our first 0-0 of the season, so it's just disappointing that it's ended that way. But like you say, Tim, that the clean sheet is the bonus. That's 3 on the bounce now, and we can go into Nuneaton with a bit of form going and hopefully get an away win.
Absolutely. Just some other news as well. They've extended the loan of defender James Bolton from Macclesfield Town. Is that a positive move?
It has to be, because if James Bolton had returned to Macclesfield, Ryan Toulson's out for the season, we'd have had nobody to play it right back. One disappointing aspect from this evening's game is that Mark Roberts went off injured in the second half, and Danny Lowe, the club captain, had to come on for his first game in over 4 months. So hopefully Roberts' injury is not too bad, but if it is, then he could be out for the season. We'll just have to wait and see what has happened with that one.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, it wasn't a victory like we were all expecting, but never mind, see what they can do against Nuneaton.
Yeah, we'll try our best and hopefully bring 3 points back.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andrew.
Cheers now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we go, Tim. Bit disappointing that they haven't managed to beat Braintree this evening, but chance to go again against Nuneaton.
Yeah, it's going to be a short turnaround, though, before the Saturday, though, isn't it? So that could play into Nuneaton's hands, who are just a place below Halifax. But, just to even be near the playoffs this season for Halifax, I think is an achievement in itself.
I agree. Well, hey, there we go, higher and higher. That can only mean one thing. We've got our Guiseley correspondent on the line, Colin Robertson. Hello, Colin.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
So 1 week it was...
You guys need to be stopped.
They shouldn't give us all these, tools to play with. It's just wrong, It's just...
all the gear, no idea. Right?
We should really be in a shed somewhere, just recording, play buttons. Oh, dear. Anyways, Colin, the point of it, Telford 6-1. Tell us about this remarkable win. I mean, I've read a few accounts. Dubious penalty after half-time, close first half an hour, but a resounding scoreline in the end.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? I mean, we said in the post-match interview with Matt Bowie, he said, we've been waiting, somebody's been waiting to get on the end of a thumping. And to be fair, it's true.
It didn't mean you then?
It wasn't Telford yet, maybe. He could well have meant me. But, Telford have been in such great form. It's Kirsty the Manager of the Month. Liam Watson was awarded Manager of the Month, and then a solo side get beaten 6-1. But, it was a very tense game, a very tight game. In the opening period, both sides had good chances. We were defending deep. We had to block. Danny Ellis blocked on the line. He got the goal, and we went 1-up, and we got the second one, which was a great run from Gavin Rothery. Their fullback also slipped, so they'll perhaps look at that. Yeah. And at 2-0 at half time, you're thinking, no, this is a good place to be, but there's going to be the whirlwind that will come at half time, and they brought on this lad Mike Phoenix, who always causes us problems. Right from his Skelmersdale days when we played them in the FA Trophy through to today when he's playing with Telford. And for the first, I know it sounds daft, but 2 minutes of the second half you thought, well, there we go, it's going to be tough this. And then the referee inexplicably, and the linesman between them inexplicably gave us a penalty. And it was a good challenge. It was great work from Wayne Brooksby, actually, to get in the penalty area, but a great tackle in on him. Cleanly got the ball, knocked it behind. In fact, when the referee blew and pointed in the general direction of the sort of 6-yard box penalty spot, I was really frustrated because I thought, I cannot believe he's given a goal kick.
So Telford were a bit hard done by then.
Really hard done by at that point. But, over the course of the game, they conceded 6 goals, so they can't just look at one penalty, can they?
No.
So the penalty was given, converted at 3-0, big ask. We grabbed the fourth, and then, everything followed. But I still wasn't sitting comfortable even at 4-0. I was thinking, when they pulled it back to 4-1, I thought, if they get another goal, it could be on.
Absolutely. Did it go somewhere to amending what happened against Oxford? 3-1 up at one point, and I was doing sports stuff for BCB, and I'd announced on air Guiseley had won 3-2. So I was very shocked a few hours later when I had rechecked the score, and so it was 3-3. Oxford, they scored 2 goals, didn't they, in the final 7 minutes? How gutting was that, Colin?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the highs and lows this week. Yeah. And it was a draw, but it felt like a defeat. And I mean, a proper defeat. Because we'd done the same thing a couple of weeks previously against Stockport. But Stockport, big crowd behind them, attacked, had a completely different feel about it. This was just switch off on 2 occasions and concede 2 very poor goals. And it was just infuriating, really, to watch. And speaking again to everyone after the game, it was just this sense of complete disappointment and down. And I must admit, I was driving back up after the Oxford game thinking, well, that's it. Playoff chances probably, might just prove to be a stretch too far, because you started to look at the league table. You saw that, we've only got a couple of games in hand on teams. There's a lot of teams winning now. Hensford are winning. They're back on winning ways. They were back on winning ways anyway on Saturday. Yeah. And, we're in a mix of Brackley, who just won 5-0, and Boston United. And you think, well, it's possibly that might just have edged it out of our favour. That's
certainly what I felt when I found out it was 3-3. I was a bit gutted actually for the Lions. I thought, they mucked up the opportunity, but wow, 6-1. It's certainly put it back on track. Vauxhall Motors up next. Colin, how do you see that one going?
Well, which way will we approach it? I mean, it's been obviously a fantastic result on Tuesday night. It's about getting our heads on really for Saturday and putting the right foot forward, because I think Vauxhall proved themselves to be a very resilient side. Yeah. Have got an awful lot to prove as they go into the end of their final season in the Skrill North at this level. And I think there's a lot of players playing in the shop window for contracts elsewhere next season. So I don't think this will be easy by any stretch of the imagination. It took us to the very last minute of added time to grab the winner at home, and I think they've often done us their place in years gone by, and it's never been a happy hunting ground for us in truth. So I think this will be a much closer call than it was on Tuesday night. I'm certainly not expecting any repeats.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Colin, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, cheers guys, all the best.
I'd have to let you know we will be finishing the item with Higher and Higher though. I can't resist. It could be worse. So we had Walking on Sunshine for Halifax last week.
Yeah, I heard. I thought you'd learned your lesson then.
Lovely. Colin, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers guys.
Bye. There we go. Colin Robertson there, having a go at our musical choices, which is probably spot on. Yeah, to be fair, Tim was, when I walked into the studio, playing California Love.
But that's a tune. So.
Yeah, true. How could you work that in though? I'm sure we can find a way, can't we? We can find a way. So, Tim, Vauxhall Motors for Guiseley next. What do you think? I think
it might be quite
Come
cagey,
on, Guiseley.
Actually. I really want Guiseley to go for it, but I think it could be quite cagey. I'd like to see... I'm going to go for Guiseley nicking a 1-0 there.
I announced on Twitter that I'm supporting Guiseley now. Leeds United have been dropped, and I'm now a Guiseley fan. Come on, you Lions.
Glory supporter.
Glory supporter, exactly.
You're listening to The Route 1 Show, covering football in West Yorkshire and beyond.
Bradford Park Avenue slumped to a miserable 5-0 loss at home against Brackley. And joining us to discuss this and more, it's our Bradford Park Avenue correspondent. It's Chris Bell. Hi, Chris.
Hey, mate, you all right?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us. Worst defeat at home ever? That's what the record says. That's what the fact sheets produce for me.
Not ever. This is...
All right. Okay, yeah, I was going to say.
It's the worst result of the season. It is the heaviest defeat. I think before that, 4-0 was the worst against North Ferriby earlier in the season. It was exactly what the scoreline suggests, quite frankly. It was by far the worst performance I've seen this season. I've seen on the forums and such that some Park Avenue fans have put it as the worst performance they've seen at home in recent years. It was frankly just as poor as a 5-0 drubbing suggests.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the problem with it is, it's relatively difficult to pinpoint why. I mean, yes, there were 3 key players out for a start. In Richard Marshall, James Knowles, and Nathan Hart, of course, the captain, your influential player.
Davidson long term.
Alex Davidson, of course. Well, he was back on the bench.
Right.
But didn't come off it, unsurprisingly. But you'd still expect your players that you bring in basically to replace the likes of Marshall, Hart and Knowles to at least try and step up, shall we say, and give a good account of themselves, put some pressure on the regular first teamers. But that didn't really happen. Park Avenue just struggled to keep possession. On the occasion when they did keep it, they just didn't create anything going forward and lost it pretty quickly. Brackley, credit to them, they played well. It wasn't pretty football, but they adapted to what we've said all season. They adapted to that pitch far better than Park Avenue did. Before the game, John Deasy was less than impressed, shall we say, with the state of the pitch, given that it had been 10 days since the last home game. I witnessed an exchange of words, shall we say, between John Deasy and members of the council that look after the stadium and the facilities. And he was less than impressed. To use one quote that I can use, he was very embarrassed about the pitch, and he was embarrassed that Brackley had to play on it, quite frankly. As it turns out, Brackley adapted to it far better than Park Avenue did on the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
The pressing game, long ball when they had to, and quite frankly, that's what Park Avenue you'll rarely see try and do. You'll never see them try and hoof it up to a striker. But you kind of sometimes think maybe that could be the way to go.
Yeah, surely at some point, they're going to realise this, because you made a really good point when I was speaking to you after the game. You said, how is it that every team that comes and beats Park Avenue at the Horsefall adapts quicker than Avenue, who play on it, every other week?
It makes no sense, does it? You'd think, we've said it before as well, Park Avenue, it's their pitch. They should be used to play on this pitch. Therefore, that should be an advantage, because they know what to expect. They know how bad it's going to be. But week in, week out, they try and play the football, and we've said that all season as well. Credit to them, they like to get the ball down and play. But you've got to wonder at what point does the management and the players and a collective think maybe we need to change the tactics to adapt to this pitch to get results. And there's been one or two questions asked by a very small number, I think, of Park Avenue fans about the determination, shall we say, to play the good football. And this is the thing, obviously we can't argue with playing good football. It's the best way to do it. Get the ball down, pass it. It's attractive.
Yes,
but it doesn't necessarily get you results.
No.
And, I can speak from experience of this, I've said before, I'm a Lincoln City fan, shall we say. Well, I am, sadly. Our best spell in my lifetime was under Keith Alexander. We had the playoffs 5 seasons running. Admittedly, we never went up, but we got into the playoffs, 5 seasons running. Yeah. And we played, aggressive, long ball football that got results. It won games.
Not the playoff games, though.
Well, sure. It's harsh. She didn't have to go down that route.
I thought just a bit elite.
You went route 1 with that one. But that's exactly, that's what, under Keith Alexander at Lincoln, that's what we did. We played an aggressive route 1 game, a long ball game that got us results, importantly. That was the thing. It got us results. It got us into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Since, obviously, Keith Alexander, God rest his soul, since that, all the Lincoln managers that have come and taken charge and have tried to play football, it hasn't worked. And look at where it's got Lincoln anyway. We've been relegated and we're struggling in the Conference Premier, quite frankly. Yeah. So, you've got to wonder, for a team like Park Avenue that have got this constant determination to play good football regardless of the opposition, regardless of the surface, you've got to wonder when the lack of results it's producing has to be questioned, quite frankly. Because Park Avenue, I've not seen the stats tables, but they must have one of the worst home records, I think. And it started out all right, it has to be said. With the exception of that 4-0 defeat, the first home game of the season against North Ferriby, the few home games after that, in the couple of months after, that followed, they were picking up some good wins, in particular just making out with a good 3-1 win against Telford. Obviously, they've gone from strength to strength and they're, doing well up near the top of the table. But this is the thing, how long, are the side going to reside at the Horsefall? How long are they going to persist, shall we say, with the good football that, frankly, isn't winning football games for them this season anyway?
I could be wrong, Chris, but I did look at the stats earlier this week for it, and I think Park Avenue have won 6 at home and won 6 away, which, it seems to add up. And, like you said, you should really have that advantage when, in fact, it's more of a disadvantage at home. Yeah,
and with the exception, I think, of Workington.
Who haven't won all season.
Well, I think this is the thing. I'm just thinking now, or trying to wrap my brain thinking, in terms of recent wins at home, what have they had? There was the 1-0 win against Workington, 3-2 win against Leamington. Apart from that, I think other recent home results have either been, the 0-0 draw against Vauxhall, have all ended in defeat. Yeah. So, but...
You had 4-0 against Gainsborough.
Of course, yeah, but Gainsborough were pretty damn atrocious. And... Yeah, they weren't great by a long stretch. And that was one of the rare occasions when, for some reason, the pitch didn't seem to affect Park Avenue, because when they did get the ball, they made it work for them.
So, Chris, one aspect that's come out of this, and a lot of the fans are mentioning this, and on BCB Radio, where you do commentary for Bradford Park Avenue, and you pose this question to John Dean, the chairman, about this recent Bulls bid and where the money's going, and why isn't more money invested in the team. Me and you, we tried to work out a budget, didn't we? What would be a good budget for Park Avenue next year? Is that what it's coming down to? There just needs to be a bit more investment in the team, and things can go better next year.
I think it has to. I don't think there's any secrets that Park Avenue don't have a particularly big budget for the level.
People ask questions, though, don't they, when they talk about certain people buying the Bulls who are.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I asked this question myself, didn't I? I think we talked, and it is a very basic, simple question. That if there is people within the board of directors of Bradford Park Avenue that were prepared to fork out, over the next 5, 10 years, whatever, a vast amount of money, then where is that money now for what they were already supposedly investing in?
Predictions for Workington next, what do you think?
It's not a foregone conclusion, despite Workington's situation in the league. For Workington's point of view, I think they've not picked up a couple of results that they would have wanted to over the last 3 or 4 games, since the defeat to Park Avenue at the Horsefall. Their situation, sadly, does look relatively bleak, doesn't it? They are cut adrift. Oxford seems to be picking up a couple of results as well, and as I've said before, for me it is a shame that it looks like we are going to lose, Workington, the most northern team in this division, in the Conference North. For Saturday, though, with Park Avenue, they're going to be missing 1 or 2 still. There's going to be, I think James Knowles is out. I think Ryan Coulter as well will start his. We'll get his 1-match ban against Workington after his sending off against Altrincham. So, there's going to be players missing. I think it's going to probably depend on which Workington side turn up more than which Park Avenue side turn up, if that makes sense. You've got, again, it's the fact that this season is just fizzling out to nothing as well. There's no real impetus as such, apart from to try and keep a shirt for next season's squad. It's a tricky one to call. It always is at this stage of the season, when there's very little to play for. I'm going to turn this on you. What do you reckon? Where would you see it?
I'm going to go for it.
You're going to go for a Park Avenue win. I just can't see it. I just can't see it at this point in time. But away from home, I'm going to go for a draw. What about you, Chris? What are you going for?
Yeah, I'm tempted to go with you on that. I'll go for something like a 2-2 draw, which, with given Workington's situation, won't be a great result. But with the players that are out as well, and the reshuffling that John's going to have to do with the squad, I reckon a point at this stage of the season, it wouldn't be too bad a result, I suppose.
No, absolutely not. Chris, thank you very much, mate.
No problem at all, mate.
Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. 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 OK, let's have a look at the Premiership fixtures this weekend. Early kick-off Saturday, it's Manchester City versus Southampton there. That's going to be a tricky one. Some of the 3 o'clock kick-offs, I guess the main ones, you've got Cardiff versus Crystal Palace, so that's a bit of a dogfight at the bottom there, isn't it? But Crystal Palace will be buoyed by that 1-0 victory over Chelsea last week, Tim.
They will, and Cardiff, they're starting to find a little bit of form themselves, and they're starting to look like more and more that they're going to get out of it, which... Bit of Solskjaer magic finally starting to work there, do you think? What, last-minute super sub kind of thing?
Yeah.
I still think the others will have too much, because West Brom have turned it on as well, and Norwich are struggling, but I think they might just have enough about them. I think I would probably go for... I'm going to go for a... I think it's going to be a draw, actually.
Yeah. your Newcastle in action against Manchester United. Do you fancy them getting anything?
No, they don't.
I don't know how to describe Tim's face, but it was just. It was kind of...
Listening to Alan Pardew talking today, they've got quite a few injuries. Moussa Sissoko's out with a hamstring. Loic Remy's out. Kabai's definitely gone. I don't know why I even started to mention him.
Still hanging on to that out the Newcastle fans.
Well, when he came on in a Paris Saint-Germain shirt, do you know what it was like? It was like seeing your girlfriend with a new guy. You're just like, I hate you.
I'm sure you've used that analogy before.
I have. It was Denver Bar, wasn't it?
Chelsea, will they recover there and actually get Stoke in the 5:30 kick-off on Saturday? Yes. They need a result, don't they? I mean, two losses on...
the way Mourinho looked on Wednesday night, I can guarantee there'll be a reaction.
Sunday fixtures, you've got Everton versus Arsenal. That's a cracker there, going for that fourth spot there. Can Everton get that fourth spot, do you think?
I'd love them to. I'd absolutely love them to.
So would I.
But Wenger knows how to hold on to it, doesn't he?
He does.
He's been here before. He's been here before.
That's his trophy. Liverpool, pushing on their title credentials. They play West Ham away. Can they keep that run going?
Yes.
They should be able to.
Although West Ham might prove a sticky situation.
I keep waiting for Liverpool to slip up, though. I'm just waiting for them to draw or lose.
This could be it, though. This could be it.
This could be it. But
be on Twitter straight away if you are.
Yeah. But they've still got Chelsea, Man City and Chelsea, at home, haven't they, to go at Anfield. So you never know.
They're going to be
in
the
their
biggest
hands
ones.
in a roundabout way. So that's pretty much it for the show. So looking back, Tim, really, everything's geared towards Guiseley and Halifax, really, isn't it? I mean, the rest of the teams are pretty much safe. Leeds and Huddersfield not doing particularly well in the Championship.
No, a bit of a lull towards the end of the season.
Yeah, but Bradford City, their season's just... a few relegation worries a couple of weeks ago, but now it's just kind of settled down, hasn't it?
I think if we went on a run of 2 more defeats, we might start to think that way. But we've got a tough couple of games coming up. I'd be happy with a point on Saturday just to get us to that 50-point mark, which it don't guarantee your safety, but with the way the teams at the bottom are playing, I can't see Bradford really getting sucked into it.
No, Park Avenue, obviously, a miserable run of form, or certainly losing 5-0 at home is not good. So it's Guiseley and Halifax, isn't it, Tim?
Leading the way.
Yeah, come on lads. So do remember that the website is up and running. It's www.theroute1show.co.uk. Do log on. You can sign up, leave comments, messages. We're going to have blogs on there. We've got a bit of all sorts, really. So do log on to that and have a look yourself. But that's about it for the Route 1 show this week. I've been Stephen Brown, and with me has been Tim Feather. Thank you, Tim.
Cheers, Steve.
Follow us on Twitter @The Route 1 Show. Visit our Tumblr, tumblr.com/The Route 1 Show, or email us, theroute1show@gmail.com.